Hi, my name's Eric. Welcome back to my channel. Let's talk about the Grammys. The 2020 Grammy Awards are this weekend, and so I'm just going to sit down and have a little casual ramble about who I think should win and will win in each of the categories that basically I'm familiar with. So that's the major categories, and then probably just a variety of the genre categories. A few things right off the bat before I jump into my picks and predictions. I understand that this week has been very tumultuous for the Recording Academy. There's been a lot of controversy, but I hope that whatever happens, it'll be a force for positive change and for a more inclusive music industry in the years to come. I also understand that the Grammys aren't the only way that we define greatness in musical artistry. Obviously, if someone isn't nominated, that doesn't mean that they are any less of an artist. There are plenty of incredible musicians who have never and sadly will never receive Grammy recognition. So this isn't about determining who is more deserving of recognition or, establishing a hierarchy. It's more just about the sort of strategy, almost like a fantasy sports point of view. Looking at the sort of trends and biases of past Grammy voters and seeing how we can use that to predict maybe what'll happen this year. So I invite you in the comments down below to drop your predictions or your picks for any of the categories that I do or do not talk about. I highly doubt that my predictions will be totally accurate, but it'll be very interesting to see how things play out this weekend. Also, please subscribe to be here when I post new videos every week. I am getting very close, thanks to you, to being able to apply to the YouTube Partner Program, which would enable me to invest more in my channel. So fingers crossed that I get there soon. Thank you again for being here, and let's dive right in. I'm just reading my laptop on my lap. The first category is Record of the Year. So for those of you who are uninitiated, this refers to a single song and basically the recording of it, how it sounds, the production, and the engineering. The nominees are Hey Ma by Bon Iver, Bad Guy by Billie Eilish, Seven Rings by Ariana Grande, Hard Place by Her, Talk by Khalid, Old Town Road by Lil Nas X featuring Billy Ray Cyrus, Truth Hurts by Lizzo, and Sunflower by Post Malone and Sway Lee. Right off the bat, I think some of the underdogs in this category would be Hey Ma, Hard Place, and Talk. While I love Hey Ma, I don't think for a production category it'll go to a band that is known more for their songwriting, which is, I believe, what they were recognized for in the past. This type of category might be likelier to go to an artist who had a really big year this year, and that definitely was Billie Eilish. Also, Bad Guy is pretty recognized by critics and audiences for its unique production. It is just generally a very production-forward song. That is what people recognize about it. A lot of the press around this song and Billie Eilish's album in general has been around her brother Phineas, and he is nominated for Producer of the Year too this year. So I really feel like in a production category, this is sort of an obvious choice. I could see it going to Seven Rings more so than it would in a songwriting category. Old Town Road, Truth Hurts, and Sunflower are also big possibilities because of their popularity, but I feel like just the narrative surrounding Bad Guy in particular is what makes it the likeliest to win, at least in my opinion. I personally also would probably choose Bad Guy because the production is so forward-thinking and will probably be pretty trend-setting in the years to come. Though I do enjoy a lot of the other songs in this category as well, especially Hey Ma. The second category is Album of the Year, so this is I, by Bon Iver, NFR by Lana Del Rey, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go by Billie Eilish, Thank You Next by Ariana Grande, I Used to Know Her by Her, Seven by Lil Nas X, 'Cause I Love You Deluxe by Lizzo, and Father of the Bride by Vampire Weekend. So even for this expanded field, this feels pretty stacked. Of the nominees, I do think, again, that Her is going to be an underdog in this category. Also, Seven by Lil Nas X is an EP, so for that to win Album of the Year would be pretty wild. Her's album last year was also an EP, and it won in the genre category that she was nominated for, but I would be absolutely shocked if that happened in a main category. I also probably would rule out the two albums that are nominated in the alternative category, Father of the Bride and I. Again, as you probably know from my video on my favorite albums of 2019, I loved both of these albums, and I think the Recording Academy nominated both of these bands sort of as prestige picks, but neither Bon Iver nor Vampire Weekend had quite as explosive of a year as some of these other nominees. So that leaves Lana, Billie, Ariana, and Lizzo. I would say among these four, it's honestly pretty close. I think the Grammys might like a sort of breakthrough story, so Lizzo and Billie might be in that way a little bit likelier than Lana and Ariana. NFR is the most critically acclaimed in this category, and Thank You Next was also received very well, but I would say of the four, Thank You Next is probably the least likely because it wasn't so acclaimed like NFR. So while I wouldn't be shocked if Thank You Next won Album of the Year, especially considering the huge growth that Ariana has experienced the last 2 years and the fact that she won Best Pop Vocal Album last year, I think it is still less likely than the other three. A lot of people are predicting NFR, and that would be my pick too, as you probably also know from the fact that I've talked about it many times on this channel. It is by not a narrow margin the most critically acclaimed album in this category, and Lana has been in the game so long that this would be another great story for the Recording Academy. It also would be pretty in line with Casey Musgrave's win last year because her album was the most, or one of the most critically acclaimed of the category alongside Dirty Computer, and Casey already had an established history with the Recording Academy, though more so than Lana Del Rey. Between Lizzo and Billie, I could honestly see it going either way. Lizzo has already won a bunch of awards for this album, but Billie is having just such a huge year. I probably would lean towards Billie in this category, especially since a sweep by her when she's already set a bunch of records this year as one of the youngest nominees ever would be quite the story. So I would say likeliest it's between Lana and Billie. I think Billie is going to win probably at least 2 of the general field categories. That's just my gut feeling. So I would be a little bit surprised if they had her sweep or win even 3. I do feel like they're going to go with Lana on this, but again, most of these wouldn't be surprising. The third category is Song of the Year, which is more of a songwriting award. The nominees are Always Remember Us This Way by Lady Gaga, Bad Guy by Billie Eilish, Bring My Flowers Now by Tanya Tucker, Hard Place by Her, Lover by Taylor Swift, NFR by Lana Del Rey, Someone You Loved by Lewis Capaldi, and Truth Hurts by Lizzo. Right off the bat, I would say the underdogs in this category are Lady Gaga, Tanya Tucker, Her, and Lewis Capaldi. I would say Gaga isn't super likely in this category because Always Remember Us This Way, while it's a very beautiful song, it's from the A Star Is Born soundtrack, which has already been nominated, and its biggest single, Shallow, has already won many awards, so I don't really see a repeat like that happening, though she did win for an acoustic version, I think, of a song from Joanne, the year after it was already nominated. In any case, I love the song. I don't see it happening this year. In terms of Tanya Tucker, I feel like this is another prestige pick, but I don't see them going for an older, more established artist in a category like this. Her also, the song Hard Place didn't make a huge impact this year. Again, it could be a great song. I just think it, at the very least, wouldn't be popular enough to give it the win here. And then Someone You Loved was also very popular. It was almost more of a sleeper hit in the US. If you're from the UK, Lewis Capaldi is probably more of a household name there than he is here in the US. So I don't think the Academy would be as enchanted with him as a personality as many of the other nominees. I think the biggest roadblock for Truth Hurts would be the fact that it was released in 2017, which is technically outside the eligibility period, but because it was released, I believe, on her album, it was eligible. So while it was extremely popular this year, I think it might ruffle some feathers to give it the award when it didn't technically come out in the last year. And I think it's Lizzo's personality that the Academy is going to be more interested in, but I'd be shocked if she didn't leave the Grammys with at least an award. I think NFR, while I love this song, is not going to get it because it wasn't the most popular song on Lana's album. I think a lot of people were puzzled by the fact that it was submitted at all, especially over a song like The Greatest that was more popular and also extremely critically acclaimed. But I still really love this song. It's an excellent song. I just don't think it's going to win in a major category. So basically that leaves Bad Guy and Lover. Like I mentioned before, I think the Grammys are going to want to give Billie multiple awards, and I think having her sweep, or at least have a near sweep, would generate a lot of buzz. So I would not be surprised if she won in both song and record like Childish Gambino did last year. However, I don't know if they would want a repeat of that situation. Still, I don't know how likely it is that Lover will be the winner here. It was received really well. The album is nominated in other categories. Taylor Swift is nominated in 3 categories, I believe, this year, at least. But again, this wasn't like a breakthrough year for her. So I don't see the Academy being as drawn to the story surrounding the song as they will be to Bad Guy. So I personally would be happy with most of the songs in this category winning. I love Bad Guy, I love NFR, Lover is an excellent song as well, and Truth Hurts was a giant hit. I would say any of those is possible, but I probably would guess Bad Guy. The 4th and final major category is Best New Artist. The nominees are Black Pumas, Billie Eilish, Lil Nas X, Lizzo, Maggie Rogers, Rosalia, Tank and the Bangas, and Yola. Right off the bat, I'm going to say the underdogs in this category are probably the lesser known artists and those in more niche categories. So that eliminates for me Black Pumas, Tank and the Bangas, and Yola. I think a lot of people, myself included, have been very excited that Maggie Rogers was nominated, and the story surrounding her discovery has also generated a lot of buzz, but she wasn't nominated in any other categories, even though people expected her to be, so I don't see it happening here. I think the same problem that Truth Hurts has might hurt Lizzo in this category too, because she's been around for a few years already. I remember hearing Good as Hell like at the beginning of undergrad. So I think again, if she as a not technically new artist would win in this category, it would probably upset some people in the same way that her winning for the song category would, even though she has had just a miraculous breakthrough year, just incredible. I also don't see it happening for Rosalia because even though she's had, like many of the other artists in this category, a huge breakthrough year, and she was absolutely acclaimed for El Mal Querer, it is only nominated for 1 category, and that is Best Latin Rock, Urban, or Alternative Album. She is not nominated in any other major categories, so I just don't know if I see that happening this year. So that leaves Billie again and Lil Nas X. I think of the two, Billie is likelier again. Lil Nas X has had an absolutely huge year. Again, like Billie, has been a breakthrough artist. However, he has had fewer songs in total be huge hits. She also released a full-length album as opposed to an EP, and I think seeing what happened with Dua Lipa last year, the Academy wants to award someone who is like an up-and-comer. I think people expect Billie to have a lot of longevity and to be very influential. People have talked in the past about the Best New Artist curse, where a number of artists who have won in this category have gone on to not really perform very well commercially. I think the Academy would like to move away from that characterization, and I think Billie would be a pretty solid choice. Personally, I would be more than happy to see her win, or Lizzo, Maggie, or Rosalia, but all of these artists are very talented, so my prediction is Billie. There is a solid chance that she will sweep. I don't think they'll give her every category, but like I said earlier, my official prediction is at least 2 of the general field categories will go to Billie. All right, let's move on to the pop genre categories, and the first category is Best Pop Solo Performance. That is Spirit by Beyonce, Bad Guy by Billie Eilish, 7 Rings by Ariana Grande, Truth Hurts by Lizzo, and You Need to Calm Down by Taylor Swift. I am going to just immediately eliminate You Need to Calm Down because it was not received as well as Lover, and 3 of the other 4 nominees are also nominated in the Album of the Year category. I think, again, with just the weird situation surrounding Lizzo and, you know, what defines a new artist, what defines pop versus rap. There has been a lot of discussion specifically around Truth Hurts as to whether it is a pop performance or a rap performance, and I think that dispute will hurt her in this category, not because it's not a good performance, it's one of the most charismatic vocal performances I'll hear probably in my life, but I think because this category is all about a vocal performance, it'll go towards a track maybe that stands out more for its vocals. I think of the three that remain, Spirit really fits that. This category also often goes to sort of prestige acts, and Beyonce is one of the most prestigious acts in music right now. She also is one of the absolute best vocalists in pop music at the moment, so I think this is a natural choice. Spirit isn't one of her standout tracks, and it was from a soundtrack, but this category has some weird stuff happen, so I would not be even remotely surprised if Beyonce won here, and I absolutely wouldn't be upset about it because her voice is just incredible and her performance on that song is truly one of the best of the year. Seven Rings, again, is more rap leaning, but it was so popular and it's nominated in other categories, so it is a possibility. Again, Bad Guy, I think, could have a similar situation to something like Royals by Lorde, which I believe won in this category and the Song of the Year category, but again, it might not appeal as much to people who are looking for a pop vocal performance, if that makes sense, because her vocals are more subdued and more expressive. My prediction is that it'll go to Beyonce here. I also wouldn't be surprised if it went to Billie, but again, a lot of good songs in this category. The next category is Best Pop Duo or Group Performance. The nominees are Boyfriends by Ariana Grande and Social House, Sucker by the Jonas Brothers, Old Town Road by Lil Nas X and Billy Ray Cyrus, Sunflower by Post Malone and Sway Lee, and Señorita by Shawn Mendes and Camila Cabello. In terms of popularity, the clear two frontrunners are Old Town Road and Sunflower. Those are two of the most streamed songs of all time. They are also the only two that were nominated in general field categories, but for a minor category that doesn't always tell us who's going to win. Ariana was nominated in a bunch of other categories that I predict she probably won't win, so this might be where the Academy says, let's throw her a bone. And of all of the songs that she's released over her last two albums and between them, I don't think Boyfriend is one that springs to mind for a lot of people. Sucker is also performing extremely well and it's getting a lot of radio play, and I think the Jonas Brothers winning a Grammy will generate a lot of buzz. Again, this is another funny situation where genre lines are being blurred. The two most popular songs in this category, which I mentioned also were nominated in major categories, are more hip-hop leaning. Sunflower is performed by two hip-hop artists. Old Town Road is performed by a hip-hop artist and a country artist. In terms of their poppiness, I don't know if that's a factor that'll come into play. I would say it's probably between Sucker, Old Town Road, and Sunflower. If we're going for more of the performance aspect, there's sort of more exciting vocal stuff going on Sunflower and Sucker. I think I could see this going to Sunflower, so that's the one that I'm leaning towards, but again, this category is kind of pretty even across the board. All of these songs, I believe, hit the top 10 on the Billboard charts. Multiple of them were number 1 or 2 at one point, or for a very long time, so yeah, this is actually a weirdly stacked category. I personally have no preference among them, so I'm just sort of interested to see how the Academy votes on this one. And then, of course, the big one in the pop field is Best Pop Vocal Album. The nominees are Lion King, The Gift by Beyonce, which is a compilation album, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go by Billie Eilish, Thank You Next by Ariana Grande, Number 6 Collaborations Project by Ed Sheeran, and Lover by Taylor Swift. Again, this is not always the case, but generally, a major category nominee will have a better chance in a minor category, so that would be Billie and Ariana. I think I would absolutely rule out Ed Sheeran here because that project wasn't as huge as his past albums and it didn't really receive any critical attention. I would say The Gift is pretty unlikely. If they're going to give Beyonce an award, it's going to be for her as a solo artist and not for a curated soundtrack. I think Taylor Swift also doesn't have a super strong chance in this category despite being nominated in multiple categories because she had a harder time with Reputation, and I see that carrying over to here, especially since Billie and Ariana had such gigantic years as well. Ariana won this category last year, so maybe that'll help her chances, maybe that'll hurt her. I typically would see it going to her because Billie will be winning in a lot of other categories, so I would say it's definitely between those two albums. I would give it to either of them, but at this point, I think I'm going to lean more towards Billie again, just because Ariana already won last year, and they're really, I think, going to be pushing for Billie to be winning in a lot of categories. Another absolutely stacked and very exciting category is Best Alternative Music Album. The nominees are UFOF by Big Thief, Assume Form by James Blake, I, by Bon Iver, Father of the Bride by Vampire Weekend, and Anima by Tom York. 4 of those 5 acts are prestige acts. The only one who has not been nominated for a Grammy before, I believe, is Big Thief. So while that album is one of my favorites of the bunch, I don't see it winning, but I'm so excited that that album received recognition because it is absolutely gorgeous. A lot of people, myself included, also wish Wise Blood's Titanic Rising could have received some recognition, but hopefully Wise Blood can be nominated another year. I, and Father of the Bride, as we know, were both nominated for Album of the Year, so I would say by default, those are the 2 likeliest in this category. I would say it's pretty certainly going to Bon Iver or Vampire Weekend. Both Vampire Weekend and Bon Iver are past Grammy winners, so this is another category where it is pretty much a toss-up. I'd personally give it to Bon Iver, but both albums were excellent. I can see them probably leaning towards Bon Iver though, since they've received recognition from the Recording Academy more recently than Vampire Weekend, but again, no bad choices here. Moving on to Best Urban Contemporary Album, the nominees are Apollo 21 by Steve Lacy, 'Cause I Love You Deluxe by Lizzo, Overload by Georgia Ann Muldrow, Saturn by Nao, who was pregnant, congratulations, and Being Human in Public by Jessie Reyez. I think this is the category where the Academy is going to say, here you go, Lizzo, this is your award for the night. I think she might have a chance also in traditional R&B performance, but again, it's the same Lizzo problem. Would she be considered traditional R&B when she's nominated in Urban Contemporary and Pop, and when she also raps? So I think this is the category that's best for her because a lot of the albums in this category are genre fusions. I think she's in great company. I really enjoyed Nao's album as well, and a lot of people have enjoyed all of the albums in this category, but I think Lizzo is by far the most high-profile choice. This isn't a situation where like the genre category will deviate dramatically from the general field, like when Chance the Rapper won over Drake for Best Rap Album. So I would choose Lizzo here. I would also be very happy to see Nao win, of course, but Lizzo is nominated in so many categories that it would be very disappointing to see her walk away with nothing, and I think she has a very strong chance here. Basically, almost perfect odds, I'd say. I think Best Rap Song is another very interesting category. The nominees are Bad Idea by YBN Cordae featuring Chance the Rapper, Gold Roses by Rick Ross featuring Drake, A Lot by 21 Savage featuring J. Cole, Racks in the Middle by Nipsey Hussle featuring Roddy Ricch and Hit Boy, and Suge by DaBaby. A lot of these songs were very popular this year. I think I would say that Gold Roses is the clearest underdog in this category. I would also say that Bad Idea is probably an underdog. YBN Cordae had a big year this year and was received very well by critics and audiences, and we have a Grammy winner on this song. But just in terms of songs and artists who received a lot of attention in the last year, I think A Lot and Suge are 2 of the clearest choices for the song aspect, and then Nipsey Hussle is going to be receiving a tribute at the Grammys. I would be pretty surprised if the Academy had a tribute to Nipsey Hussle and to his legacy and to his giving back to the community without giving him an actual Grammy this year. This might be the category where they do it, but A Lot and Suge were just gigantic songs. I think DaBaby is on the rise right now, so it might not be his year this year, but I would expect to see more nominations next year, so I would say that'll probably hurt his chances a little bit, but help him in the future. I would say A Lot has a pretty solid chance too, especially because of how much radio play it received, but I think primarily because of the impact of Nipsey Hussle as a person and as an artist, it'll go to Nipsey Hussle in this category. In Best Rap Album, we have Revenge of the Dreamers 3 by Dreamville, Championships by Meek Mill, I Am Greater Than I Was by 21 Savage, Igor by Tyler the Creator, and The Lost Boy by YBN Cordae. Once again, a lot of really well-received albums. I would say the likeliest would probably be Igor. It's also the one that I would choose. I think Tyler has established a sort of legacy already. He was influential on Billie Eilish, who is nominated in all the major categories. So I don't think that'll be a consideration, but you know, he has had an impact on the next generation of Grammy nominees. I think also Igor is going to be the most palatable of his albums to Academy voters. And it also received a lot of fanfare among his fans and even some new fans that he gained during this album cycle. So that would be my pick. That's my prediction. But once again, a strong category. Going to jump around again a little bit and talk about Best Country Album. The nominees are Desperate Man by Eric Church, Stronger Than the Truth by Reba McEntire, Interstate Gospel by the Pistol Annies, Center Point Road by Thomas Rhett, and While I'm Livin' by Tanya Tucker. Again, Tanya Tucker has got that legacy going for her, as does Reba. Reba isn't nominated in the major categories while Tanya is, so I would say between the two, Tanya is the clearer choice. Eric Church's album was received very well this year, as was the Pistol Annies album. I am a fan of all of the Pistol Annies solo work, so I would be very happy to see them win here, but I also grew up listening to Reba. Thomas Rhett's music was very popular, but I don't know if he would be as appealing as some of the more established acts to the Grammy voters. So I would say the two strongest would be Tanya Tucker and Eric Church. Eric Church for the critical acclaim and Tanya Tucker for the legacy and other nominations. So I think I'll go with Tanya, but I personally would choose the Pistol Annies. We also have the Best Latin Rock, Urban, or Alternative Album. The nominees are Por Siempre by Bad Bunny, Oasis by J Balvin and Bad Bunny, Indestructible by Flor de Toloache, Almadura by Ile, and El Mal Querer by Rosalía. My obvious choice is Rosalía. El Mal Querer is just incredible, but there's also dispute over whether she is a Latin act. However, she is also nominated, unlike the other nominees, in a major category, Best New Artist. I think that'll help her chances the most. It'll make her the artist that more Grammy voters who do not listen to Latin music will be aware of. The two projects that Bad Bunny was involved in were both received very well, so I think either Bad Bunny and J Balvin, or Rosalía will receive the award here. My prediction and choice, of course, are Rosalía, but I would say either the other projects involving Bad Bunny could also have a shot. And lastly, the music video and film categories. For Best Music Video, We've Got to Try by the Chemical Brothers, directed by Ninian Doff, This Land by Gary Clark Jr., directed by Savannah Leaf, Cellophane by FKA Twigs, directed by Andrew Thomas Wong, Old Town Road Official Movie by Lil Nas X and Billy Ray Cyrus, directed by Calmatic, and Glad He's Gone by Tuvalu, directed by Vanya Heyman and Gal Mugia. I apologize for any mispronunciations. I love the video for Glad He's Gone, but Cellophane is just magnificent. Andrew Thomas Wong is an incredible visual artist and director. My heart is absolutely with that video. I wouldn't be surprised if it won. I would also be surprised if it won. To explain why, I wouldn't be surprised because of its quality. It's just one of the best music videos probably ever. I would be surprised because Twigs isn't nominated in any other categories this year, and some of the other nominees are. So I wouldn't be surprised if it went to Old Town Road, or I would say likelier, This Land, because of the political messages. Though these categories can turn out weird, but again, official prediction is This Land, personal pick is Cellophane. And then finally, Best Music Film, Homecoming by Beyonce, Remember My Name by David Crosby, Birth of the Cool by Miles Davis, Shangri-La by various artists, and Anima by Tom York. Of course, Tom York and Beyonce are both nominated in other categories. I think Homecoming is kind of the obvious choice, not only for the prestige, but also for the fact that Homecoming is just such a magnificent achievement. It was so influential. I would be pretty shocked if it didn't win in this category, because a lot of people were also expecting it to be nominated for Album of the Year. It's gotta win. I hope it does. We'll see what happens. So those are my picks and predictions for this weekend. I really think that a lot of the nominees are really great this year, so I wouldn't be particularly upset if things went differently from what I talked about. Fingers crossed, though, that Lana wins Album of the Year, because that would be just amazing. Like I mentioned, leave your predictions or picks in the comments down below. As always, thank you so much for being here, especially since I know that these predictions are probably not going to turn out super accurate, but that's okay. And until next time, that's it.